go, mate.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Two crazy guys, one crazy crypto world
Morning.
podcast.
Good morning.
Good morning. This
Good
is
morning.
the podcast brought to you by your two crazy guys, one a baby boomer, one a Gen X, both named Stacey and Chris. Well, not both named Stacey. Something like that. Stacey
funny
interrupted
story.
me. Good morning, everyone.
Well, funny story. I was actually supposed to be named Chris. Was my
Were you? I
was,
was never
was what my
supposed to be
parents were
named
going to
Stacey.
call me.
I know. Well, I was never supposed to be named Stacey, but I was supposed to be named Christine or Samantha. But apparently, I came out with dangly bits, and that was it. My parents said, "Well, can't have that."
That's not going to work.
Yeah. So, good morning, everyone.
Yes.
How are you today? This is episode number 61, which means
Goodness me.
whilst we missed it, these numbers are actually higher than both of our birthdays at last.
Yes, they are. Yes.
Or both of our ages. Our birthdays, I guess, are the same every year.
Well, you're right there. Yes, you did right.
Can you say it a bit louder? I'm right.
Chris, you are right. There you go.
Oh my God. Number 3's on the way.
Yeah, look, I tell you, I know how you feel. You know, those who are married will know how we feel. It's not often you hear those words, and they're oh so sweet when you do.
I saw a thing the other day on I don't know some crap that I was watching, and it had a guy and his wife ended up in court with that judge. It's one of those judge shows in America, but he's a real judge and he deals with the real stuff, but he films it.
Oh yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, she immediately threw him under the bus because he was driving the car.
Yeah, I saw that.
and she got the ticket. It was hilarious.
Oh, that was so funny.
You're throwing him under the bus. She said, "Well, I'm not getting over there." And it went back and forth for a while. And the judge is like, "And really, you're still married after all these years?" And then he said something. And she said, "We've got a fabulous marriage, haven't we?"
Yeah, that's right. And then at one stage, he asked her a question and he answered. Then he asked the guy the question. And all I remember him saying, he says, "Well, yeah, I have to agree with her." It's like, he said he wasn't even going to entertain the possibility of saying anything different, right?
That's it. They've been married for 40-something years or whatever it was. And then
40 wonderful years, she says.
40 wonderful years, haven't they been?
Haven't they used to you?
And he says, "I've discovered the secret to a long and happy marriage. It's only 2 words. Yes, dear."
Yes, dear.
It was fabulous. Anyway, I probably digress away from cryptocurrency.
Just a little bit, but it was a good video. It was really funny, worth watching. So we should try and find that. We'll put that in the show notes. Well, the markets, let's have a look. I should probably share it with you, hey?
Yeah, it would be a good idea. I mean, I've already seen it, but other people out there may not have seen it yet.
Well, they will because they're seeing my screen. It's just you that's not seeing it.
There you've got 10247. Have you refreshed your screen lately?
Well, I haven't, but I can do so right at this very second. Let's have a look.
Now, I'm just interested to see because I'm looking at coin checkup. Oh no, they're 278. There you go. Coin checkup has it at 278. But just before we came on, even though I'd seen a 10.1 at some point, that Coin Telegraph had it at 10.3, and I thought, oh, maybe we're reversing. But no, it doesn't appear we are.
That's the interesting thing about a lot of these sites. It really depends on what exchanges, what APIs they are using to make their calculation. And CoinGecko in particular have been a little bit vocal, I suppose. Well, very clear about the fact that they only use specific high volume exchanges to calculate their pricing.
Yep.
So it takes out some of the variance that you'll get, in some of the lesser volume exchanges. So which I think is a good idea. So anyway, where are we at? We've got Bitcoin, as you said, at 10,246, down just 0.8. So it's still coming down since.
It's pretty stable.
We're compressed in a tight trading range for sure.
Yeah, it was fluctuating around the 10.4 for a few days, but now it seems to be.
Well, even overnight, and well, I'll go, since we're talking, I'll jump to it. See, overnight, the 24 hours. So overnight, while we were slumbering in our beds, it jumped as high as 10.5, and promptly got rejected, and it's just sort of slowly been dribbling back down, and to where it is this morning. So tried to make a bit of a charge, but yeah, it didn't quite happen. So
Yeah.
For the moment, we're still stuck in our trading range, and look, most of the other coins are all following suit as they usually do. And Ethereum's at 179, down just 0.1. XRP's at 25.8 cents, down 0.2. Bitcoin Cash 304, up 0.3. Litecoin is 69, dropped below that $70 mark at down 0.1. EOS is sort of bucking the trend a bit, up to $3.89, up 5.3 overnight for some strange reason. Sorry?
No, I mean, even in the Australian markets, EOS was up yesterday. It was the only one of the coins at that point that was up.
Yeah, I haven't seen any news on it, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. It's up 18, almost 20% for the week, so I need to do a bit more research there. I'm not quite sure if there's a particular reason for that one. Jump over Tether. So Binance Coin is 22.10, down 0.8. And Bitcoin SV is sitting right on the $130 mark, US, down 2.8%. And Cardano at 4.6 cents is down 0.5%. So, and there's our there's our top 10, where total market cap's down 0.8, down to 263 billion. And Bitcoin dominance still just shy of the 70%. So
yeah, it got over 70% at one stage.
It did, yeah. And as I mentioned yesterday, it actually hit 72 or 73% on. I didn't actually see it myself, but I saw in one of the other articles I was reading that it hit as high as 73 somewhere. So, so it's definitely high, but they reckon it's potentially going higher. It's that's not the end of the story yet. So.
Yeah, it would be interesting. We should have a look today and see what we can find on EOS, because I'm not sure why it's gone up 20% in the week.
Yeah, we will. Absolutely. So interesting. So crazy news. Let's start with...
ladies and gentlemen, our caption for today is this is the one where the phones are on the block. And this story tells you why. LG are working on a cryptocurrency smartphone as Samsung release another. So they're all getting their phones on the blockchain. Because, I mean...
They sort of are, sort of aren't.
Isn't it like Huawei or something? Released one
Wahoo?
Week? Yeah, someone released one last week. And I said to Stacey, okay, what's that mean? And I think your answer, and correct me if I'm wrong, because it'll be one of those rare things again. I think your answer was, it's got an inbuilt wallet.
Well, what they're doing is they're creating a secured area of the phone, whether it be a chip or otherwise. But they create this secured area of the phone. In some cases, they're building in the ability to install a full working node on the phone. So it would actually, for example, if it's for Bitcoin, for example, it could be a full Bitcoin node sitting on your phone.
Right? Oh my God!
Some of them have built-in.
How's the battery going to last?
Yeah, well, it's more storage, right? So and because the battery, it would just depend on how often it updates the node, but if it's live and doing real-time updates, then yeah, it could chew the battery a bit and your bandwidth. But
yeah, you probably get at least 10.5 milliseconds of battery life based on Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, who knows? But the other thing they do is they build in, and as you said, they do build in wallets as well. So there's different elements that they could build into these phones. The LG one here, it says, what's it say? Well, actually, the Galaxy S10 currently has a built-in hardware wallet, right?
Yeah.
And it supports different decentralized apps. And but LG's about to release one, aren't they? Is this story?
They've applied for a trademark on ThinQ Wallet, and they are about to release one, but they're one step behind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but this just says even more, right? Why are we bringing these news to the people out there? It's just more evidence that the cryptocurrencies are moving into mainstream and they're increasing the adoption.
You've got Apple saying cryptocurrencies are interesting. Yeah, okay, they're a little bit behind the world there, right? You've got LG that producing a blockchain-enabled phone. You've got Samsung releasing a phone already that has a hardware wallet in it. That is bloody brilliant. That is like for anyone who's trading crypto, wants to store their crypto offline, to have that ability. Just don't lose your phone. But mind you, losing your phone is probably losing your USB. Right?
Well, look, in these days, that if they're done right, there should be an easy way to, as long as you keep your backup keys, then you should be able to recover and restore those wallets. So it shouldn't really be an issue.
Absolutely. But it is all thing. If you've got organisations with the billions of dollars behind them, like these guys, who are throwing a lot of money at developing this stuff, it's further proof of how cryptocurrency is becoming more mainstream. Yeah. If people out there actually believe it's not already mainstream, and if you do, please go outside.
Yeah. So look at, and this is the thing. I mean, these companies, whether or not they care about blockchain is yet to be seen. But what they do care about is innovation and trying to keep ahead of their competition, right? And because Samsung has made the move, you can be absolutely sure then the rivals are going to want to not be left behind. And in fact, I think one of the lines here it said was that a party familiar with LG Group suggested the company had been struggling to apply blockchain technology to a smartphone with a sense of difference, right? And that's what's probably what held them up. They didn't just want to be another copycat. They wanted to actually come out with something new. Now, whether or not they've achieved this, we're yet to find out. So, but when companies of this size are getting on board, then there's a future there, right?
Yeah.
These companies are not going to spend money in this if they don't believe there's no future. I thought this article is interesting. Will Bitcoin become less volatile with greater adoption? Because one of the main criticisms of, say, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general, and one of the things that has prevented people from investing is the volatility around the pricing, right? Mm-hmm. So, and in the short term, that's absolutely fair enough, and but it does go with the fact that it is still a young asset class. It's quite new. It's only 10 years old. When you compare it to stocks and bonds and real estate and those sorts of things that have been around, but even within those asset classes, you still get volatility on your lower cap or newer products, right?
You do. You do. So can I jump in for a second?
Hey, what's wrong? You asked?
Yeah, I know. It's a rare moment in time. Record this one. Right? But the volatility, I was thinking about this actually. So I read this story. We're talking about the become less volatile. One of the things that makes it so volatile, which makes cryptocurrency so volatile, is it's a 24/7 market.
Yes.
The share market and all the other investment markets, the formal investment markets, like in Australia, the share market opens at 10 and closes at 4.
Yep.
You've got 6 hours. After that, you can set trades and whatever.
Yep.
And they trade overnight or whatever. But the general population, day traders, all those sorts of people, they've got 6 hours. And then they've got another 16 or 18 hours or whatever it is to sit back and think about things and do analysis and that before they start going in. So the price sits where it was at close in the market. Like Qantas will sit at $5.02, whatever it happens to be.
Yep.
And that's where it starts.
Yep.
Cryptocurrency is 24/7. You've got people from all over the world always trading
at different times. Yep.
Inherently more volatile. And I think that people need to understand that because it is open all the time.
Well, the other thing,
if we had an 8-hour break or a 16-hour break every day, the market would be a lot less stable, a lot more stable than what it is now.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
To a degree, yeah, look, it would, because obviously, like you said, it would have those periods of time where people just aren't trading. But
Yeah.
the real issue, and I think one of the key reasons for it, is it's still very low in market capitalisation. Right, we're still only talking 200. What did we say it was? 263 billion, right? Which, look, sounds like a lot of money, but when you're talking about an asset class, wrong one, for trading, that's still a very small amount, especially for a global market, right? So it's just the fact that it just doesn't have the size of the market and the maturity around it yet. Interesting here, this guy, I think this is a tweet that he put out when he talked about whether or not it's going to become less volatile. He makes a comparison about Bitcoin and Litecoin, and that Bitcoin's always been about 30 times larger than Litecoin, yet the two coins have generally been equally volatile. I think, and look, to be honest, back to my previous point, I think that's a bit of an irrelevant comparison because they're both very small market caps in terms, and Litecoin's obviously very small compared to Bitcoin. But as we know, most of the altcoins basically follow along with whatever Bitcoin does, right? So Bitcoin's going to lead the way in that regard, and if Bitcoin's volatile, the rest will be too. So I'm not sure the comparison there is right, and as I said, really does come down to maturity, the size of the market, right? And I think that, and he talks here about the dominance level being 70%, and that's just, I think part of the reason for that is that with the new Bakkt products coming online, that they're only going to be trading in Bitcoin. So most of the money, most of the investment within cryptocurrencies are naturally going to move towards Bitcoin because that's where the majority of the market, I think most of the investment's going to come in, at least in the next 6 to 12 months. And combined with that, the halvening that's happening next year. So there's a lot of things that's really focused around Bitcoin. So I think at least for the next 6 months, I can see Bitcoin really leading the way and holding its dominance. I don't think it'll stay. It may go up a little bit more, but I can't see it staying at 70% for the next 6 months. But I think it's definitely going to be holding a good majority for the next 6 months while this all sorts itself out. But it really comes down to the asset class, like the total market capitalization, and until we hit, I don't know, a couple of $1 trillion in market cap across the whole cryptocurrency market space, it's not going to, the volatility is not really going to drop much, I don't think. So, and when you compare it to gold, I mean, gold's 7 trillion, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be ridiculous.
You know, so we're so tiny in terms of financial markets. So to me, it's yes, it will become less volatile, but later, right? Once more adoption and that all comes along. It was a good one. So I think
like this
you
one.
brought this one up, didn't you?
Yeah, I brought this one up. This one's good. Like as it says, we put a lot of faith in passwords.
Yeah.
Faith whatever I meant to say then. Right? There is a new site online, but put out there by Better Buys because it's got the Better Buys colours. That we can do a checker. Now, how good it is, who knows? However, it does give you the opportunity to enter a password and see how long it would take our current computer systems to crack your password.
That's pretty cool, actually.
What are we looking at? Bitcoin. Jeez, I've got a brain fade. They tested the Bitcoin type
private keys,
like keys and so forth.
Yeah,
can't be cracked. Not by brute force.
No,
simply cannot be cracked by brute force. It would take infinity. Now they can't spell infinity, as you would say.
Apparently.
Yes, like a Bitcoin private key, infinity. A wallet seed, infinity. A 4-digit passcode, 3 milliseconds.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, there you go. 4-digit pin, 5 milliseconds.
Yeah.
Wow.
5. Sorry, 5.
5 milliseconds. Don't exaggerate.
No. 5 milliseconds. So all those people out there who've got a 4-digit passcode, wow, that is vulnerable.
And this is the
However,
thing.
what it goes on to say is that like things like the blockchain codes and whatever, they're fantastic. They're virtually uncrackable by brute force. But as the last line there says, the weakest link in your Bitcoin security is you.
Yeah.
it is definitely you.
Absolutely.
Because how many of us have got our little hardware wallets, as he says, as he holds up an Apple Pen, and you go, oh, what's my PIN code? 1, 2, 3, 4 to get into hardware wallet. Right? Folks, when you get those things that say use a strong password, like Apple, every time you go to enter a new password, it comes up with a massively long password that you look at and go, how the hell will I ever remember it? Get yourself a password keeper or something.
You've got to have a password manager. It's the only way to stay secure these days, because there are so many passwords for everything, right? And
when you get that inevitable phone call that tells you the guy's from Microsoft, or he's from Apple, or he's from your NBN provider, or he's from your bank, or he's from the ATO, or whatever your tax people are, saying, we've noticed unusual activity. Can you give us your code, please? We're checking, and otherwise you could be charged with a criminal offence. Go.
Yeah, that's right.
Hang up.
Yes. None of these organisations will call you and ask for that information. None of them.
They will never, ever do it, ever, under any circumstance.
Yeah. And if you think it could be legit, tell them I will call you back. You hang up the phone and you call back the main number for that organisation, and you go through the proper channels and then find out. Right, it's the only way you can be sure.
Yeah, because they are making millions by preying on people who have faith that it's the right person on the other end of the phone. Don't believe it.
No, absolutely not. No, but that was a good story. Very interesting, that one. And look,
we'll put the password check in the notes.
Yeah. The other thing I'll point out with that too is the around the security of credit cards, because what do we secure our credit cards with? A 4-digit PIN.
That's correct.
Right? And as we know, our credit cards are plastered all over the web, right? And all these sites that we plug in our credit card details are all getting hacked all the time. And so the cryptocurrencies that we use, if stored correctly, are actually far more secure than your credit cards ever will be, right?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, an idea for credit cards, apparently I filled up my car in Las Vegas not that long ago.
Oh, good on you.
I've never been to Las Vegas. Yeah, I know. Here I am in Australia, and apparently I'm filling up petrol in Las Vegas. Go me.
Good on you. All right. So, and as we mentioned before, Bakkt is gearing up to launch their new futures product. And the reason why and the industry is really interested in this one, because it's the first futures product that is settled in actual Bitcoin, not fiat currency. So they have an insurance on their custodial service, right? So if anyone does deposit their Bitcoin into the Bakkt system, or the Bakkt warehouse as they're calling it, you'll be secure to know that they've got $125 million worth of insurance, for those that do deposit their Bitcoin. So that's obviously very important, and some of the larger custodial services are introducing this sort of thing. Coinbase has done it for quite some time, actually. Yeah, Coinbase has insurance on their deposits as well.
Yeah.
So
cool.
So it's all helping to, I suppose, provide people that little bit of peace of mind that that the money that they're depositing there is going to stay safe. And actually, an Australian exchange, Independent Reserve, which is one that I like to use a lot, they actually now have premium accounts that you pay a yearly fee, and that is also insured as well, right?
Okay.
So
you're still using Independent Reserve, eh?
Yeah, mate. Yeah. I still find them. Good. Their rates are still good. Liquidity is quite good. So as an Australian exchange, no, I still find them quite good. So,
we're going to run out of time very, very soon. So what else we got?
Just very quickly, Peter Schiff's at it again. He's out talking the US dollar. He reckons that whatever they're doing is accelerating the process of the US dollar's demise. So as we've talked a lot about these crazy fiscal policies that are being put into place, He pointed out that problems for the US started long before Donald Trump. While he's obviously the puppet in charge at the moment. The issue he said here, the real issue for the dollar and what's going to sink the dollar is our own fiscal profligacy. Now, when I looked at that before, I went, what does that mean? And profligate. Have you heard of that word?
No. Reckless extravagance or wasteful use of resources.
So I love how these people love to use big fancy words, right, to make themselves.
So they're talking about his presidency. I thought they were talking about the monetary thing. That's his presidency, isn't it?
No, he's talking about the fiscal policy that the Reserve Banks are using, right?
Yeah,
but also the government follows along, right? And he said these large deficits, budget deficits, and trade deficits were here long before we elected Donald Trump, right? So, it's when we're talking about policy, you're talking about the it's not just what the government does, but also how the Federal Reserve controls rates and all that sort of stuff. But the governments and the way the government, and we've talked about this for years in terms of how our governments run budgets, and it's like the ongoing joke, right? If a government was run as a company, it'd be broken a week, right?
Wouldn't take a week, dude.
Yeah, no. So and all they do is they just keep piling up the debt, and that's what's causing the problems. So it's probably enough for.
It probably is today, ladies and gentlemen, since we're getting into the technical thing, and as you may have noticed, it's like Stacey has not mentioned the B word, or did you mention it?
The B word.
Yeah, the banks.
Bitcoin. The banks.
No, banks.
No, I haven't. I've been very good today.
I don't think Stacey mentioned banks today, ladies and gentlemen.
I know. Well, we just
this could be a milestone. We may have had a breakthrough.
But
it's very good.
Very good.
Episode 61. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. And as always, don't forget to join us over there on Patreon, where you can get your bling bling. We all know you want bling bling. See, now you see it. Now you see it. So until tomorrow, which will be episode 62, this is your two crazy guys in one crazy crypto world saying have a fabulous day.
Have a crazy old day, folks.
Thanks, Mr. Basil. Chat to you soon, sir.
Will do. See ya.